Welcome to Yin and Yang. We have an episode 4, and we've got these three. Well, I would say because we had to skip a week, so we are on our 5th week. This is 4th episode. This kind of gone fast, but we've had some fun, haven't we?
Yes, we have. It's been great.
Oh yeah, and one of the things I really, a lot of people see. I'll explain it on the Sideline Sports. I always bring this show up all the time. And one thing I always explain is I'm separate from Sideline, and I always say that we talk about everything. We talk about psychology. We talked about autism the last week. We talk about films. We talk about politics. We talk about everything, and it makes things a lot different, which is a real nice thing.
Yep, for sure.
Oh yeah, and so
our thing is entertainment, arts, culture, news, trends. All the stuff that's kind of happening right now, and some philosophizing too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and I love but it's like I think it's one of those things where it's conversation. In the end, that's number one thing with me with my shows. I want to get good, solid conversation in that shows that we don't have to kill each other.
No, of course not. Of course not. No. And we can have a conversation and present sides to everything. I mean, sometimes we agree on things and sometimes we don't.
Yep, and that's the truth there. Well, we have a first topic tonight. This kind of goes to our world, the theater world, acting world. See, we've got graphics tonight.
Sure. Yeah. I'm going to hold this up. I don't know if it'll work, but I'll try to put this picture up. Hang on. This is her back in the day. Okay. This is not current.
Yeah.
That is a picture. Can you see the phone?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can.
That is from 1943. That was her very first motion picture role.
Gaslight, wasn't it?
It was Gaslight with Charles Boyer and Ingrid Bergman in the lead role. And she was the maid, the devious little scheming maid. She was 18 years old.
18 years old. 18 years old.
But she just had a way about her that was just so confident and so naive and mature at the same time, if that makes sense.
Did you watch that by chance? I sent it on a little text to you. Did you see the little video with the New York Times?
I haven't watched it yet, no.
She said the very, very, very beginning something that you would really appreciate. She says, I already knew that I wasn't going to be the beautiful ingenue. I already knew I was too good of an actor for that.
Amen. Amen.
Yeah. She said, I already.
Cute. See, she was cute.
Yeah.
Not beautiful, not pretty, not a knockout, not a bombshell, but she was cute and a cute personality. And she had it until the day she died. Okay. She had that way about her, a personality. It just shone through from the age teenager all the way into the age of 90.
Well, I mean, 96 even. And it's like, something, class. She had class.
Yep.
And you've seen that video of her singing Beauty and the Beast, 90 years old. And she's singing it. And here's a piece of trivia about that. When she sang that, they were thinking of getting somebody else, and they ended up getting her. She sang it in one take.
I believe
in the voiceover. She sang it because she got the pure story in. And the thing is, it's like you talk about somebody, and I knew you'd love that when they said I already knew I was too good of an actress to be the ingenue.
Yes.
And she was, that's the thing about her, was the fact that she was what was so rare and you see right now. Maybe I'm just saying this, maybe a Wayne Brady. Like, I'm just saying from the nows, like they're old school. Some people that act old school. Dule Hill, Wayne Brady, the guys that they can sing, they can dance, they can act, they can do all this.
The actors from West Wing, you mean?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, they're all stage actors.
Yeah.
Okay, including Martin Sheen.
Well, Wayne Brady wasn't on there, but I know what you're saying. Yes.
Who wasn't?
Wayne Brady. He wasn't on the West Wing, but Wayne Brady is a singer. He is he's acted. He's a comedian. He's a dancer. That's what I'm saying.
Hugh Jackman, who plays Wolverine, is all those things. I mean, those actors are trained professionally on the stage. Now, here's the thing. I know that you and I talk about this often and how current American actors just don't have it. Well, I think a lot of them do. What they don't have is the opportunity to perform it.
Yeah.
Okay. And when you see him like Alan Alda, for goodness sake. But again, this is the Angela Lansbury generation or close to it.
Yeah.
They were trained on stage. Alda was doing stage work when he was 5 and 6 years old.
Yeah.
He learned how to be a magician. That's what he did. He did a play around magician. So did Bill Bixby, as a matter of fact. They played at that. And understanding performance.
Yeah.
So many of today's film actors just want to get on TikTok and blah, 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 blah. But you hear that the ones that are on TV, for example, Criminal Minds, all those actors, the ones that came, Mandy Patinkin especially, have had stage work. They probably sung, they probably danced. They've done it at some point in their careers, but you don't see that.
Yeah, and it's like, well, you got to. I mean, remember, Patinkin also does nothing but. Yeah, I mean, he gets so into his roles. And remember, Criminal Minds, he was gone in 2 years. He he totally tore himself apart in that role.
I know.
And the thing about it is, it's like you still get younger people like Daniel Radcliffe. Let's see, how to succeed in business without really trying. He was very old school 1940s, 50s type, the way he took it. And it's like, it's obvious that but he's also a British actor.
Yes. All of them, all of those Harry Potter actors are. And he went to the stage when he started aging out of Harry Potter. And by the time those kids had graduated high school, they pretty much aged out of it. Okay. It was done for them. And Radcliffe went to the stage. He performed in Equus, the young man who was sexually attracted to a horse. Yeah, no, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. A very good friend, dear late friend of mine named David Klein. One of his ideal roles, that he wanted to play, was the psychiatrist in Equus, and I don't think he had a chance to do it, which is unfortunate because he would have been great at it. But yeah, I think Richard Burton played it. There was a movie made in the 70s, I think. I don't remember who the man was, but I think Richard Burton played the doctor, the psychiatrist. Anyway, yeah, that's what Radcliffe did. He went right to the stage and took everything off.
And the thing was, you talk about, this is the funny thing. I was looking at an interview with Merlin Olsen from years ago. He died in 2010, Looked at a thing, and you want to know why he was hired as an actor during that time. This is the funny part. This is what things that they're not doing with a lot of the actors in certain things. They hired him because of his football, not because of being tough guy. Because where he played as a position, you have to be on your marks. Like he's on the offensive line, you have to be on your marks and make sure that they don't get to the quarterback when they're blocking. You have to be on marks. He knew because of that, he could be on his mark. So he got trained as an actor, and that's why they kept hiring on something like that, because of that. And it's like, it's even in these days now, in those days, even if they're getting an athlete that didn't have acting experience, they had a reason.
They could follow direction and follow their marks and then speak, and that's it. And that most of those athletes, regardless of what they ended up doing, were just playing themselves. I mean, it wasn't like they're really having to dig, into a character that was totally outside their realm. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, Merlin Olsen was 6'6", 285. I mean, he wasn't going to be doing that.
Right. And then, you got your bodybuilders like Schwarzenegger. I mean, Arnie plays Arnie. Okay. Yeah. That's just, and people go see him,
Give Arnie credit. He tries a couple of different times to do like comedy. He'll try to do a role, but it's tough when it is tough when you're not going to be that person like Hugh Jackman that's going to lose the weight, gain the weight, get fat, get skinny, get muscular. He would never do that in that role,
He couldn't actually.
Even Stallone got fat for a role.
Yeah, so did De Niro. But there are those actors that will alter themselves physically. Amy Adams, for example, has done it very recently. Okay, she's really gotten. It's not usual for women to do that. Charlize Theron did it for Monster. Yeah, to play Eileen
Wuornos.
Big old fat, flabby boobs and big rounded hips. And of course, you look at Charlize Theron, and she's like, good God, not dead, drop dead gorgeous. but
Sure.
she is South African. She's not brought up in the United States.
Yep.
Okay. There are a few, like Amy Adams is doing it right now, has done it. And there are a few others that will ugly up, okay, for a role. All right. Knowing full well they could just go right back to where they were. Um, but again, Christian Bale, Jesus wept. I mean, that guy, like you said,
Yeah.
he won't make it to 60.
Oh no, 60, 65. Yeah, well, see, it scares me personally as I get myself a little older. It scares me personally to think about because I like where my body is, and it would scare me to like go really, really skinny, go really, really fat, then muscular. To me, that would be a really stress on the heart.
Well, it would be, but I don't know. You personally, would you ever be called upon to do a role like that? I mean,
I
I
don't
don't.
think so.
And also, if a role required you to do that, you could certainly decline it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're talking about the sports figures that could get on a camera and know their mark and know how to speak. Yes, they know how to. They know how to. On your mark, get set, let's go. They understand lights, camera, action because they do it anyway when they're playing a game.
Yeah. And
The referee goes, wee, and go.
yeah.
They're
And
used to that.
yeah, and that's a big thing to action, but see to go back to Angela Lansbury, I think the real deal is we brought that thing up on our Facebook. They were thinking of Gene Stapleton for that show. And it's like that wouldn't last a year. There are just people in this world, I mean, Americans especially, they would have still looked at Edith. They would have still looked at Edith. Angela Lansbury and the thing was, Angela Lansbury was a stage actress for years and years and years and years before that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, she wasn't going to be as known. You were getting her out there, really. She wasn't going to be in. She wasn't in television a bunch.
No, not before then. And of course, she had one hell of a film career, and she did movies for TV.
Yeah.
And but as she got on in years, I mean, I think Murder She Wrote debuted when 84.
Yep.
And it went into the 90s.
84 to 96. 84 to 96.
All right. My mom used to watch that show. It wasn't
my
my
grandma did. My
mom did. It wasn't my thing, but
yeah.
My mom loved that show. And she loved that show and another one that was similar called The Father Dowling Mysteries with Tom Bosley.
Tom Bosley.
My mom loved those shows. I mean, but yes, she loved Murder, She Wrote.
Yep. Oh no, Murder She Wrote. It was Murder She Wrote, Matlock, and all those. Those are old person deals, But those are old person. But the thing about the Angela Lansbury, it showed you everything. Is she pulled off Cabot Cove Boston accent perfectly, and it's like, and it was like you could not hear a thing of British in her.
Well, that's a good actor for you.
Yeah.
I mean, Hugh Laurie. I mean, British actors can do American beautifully, but Americans don't always pull off a British or a European or any other kind.
Ask Dick Van Dyke with that horrendous one on Mary Poppins.
And of course, 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds, it's fine. But everybody else looking at him going, dude.
Yeah. Well, Dick Van Dyke still was amazing with the dancing, and he's also. It's like we're gonna lose. That's the thing. It stinks. Is we're gonna lose him, and that's a tough. I mean, that's even tougher.
Well, he's about the same age now, isn't he?
He's 97, yeah, with a wife 48 years younger.
Well, when you got his, pedigree, then I guess you can do that.
Well, the one good thing about the one great thing about that I was reading about this, it's like the one great thing about their marriage is they dance every single day. He works out every single day, and they just read a lot. They read a lot of stuff. They did especially, and plus he's an animator. So he has his own little animation machine. So during COVID, he was just in his animation room making stories and stuff and making little stuff.
That's great. I mean, I love it to hear that actors get out of acting if the roles aren't there, or maybe they reached a place where they're not satisfied with the career and they want to do something else. Make music, write music. Write books. Hugh Laurie and David Duchovny are book authors.
Yep.
Okay, and Duchovny has played in bands. Hugh Laurie is a musician. Okay, classically trained musician. Duchovny
I heard it.
Can get on stage and he can do some like rock, easy listening kind of music. But Laurie is the musician. Okay, he was on the cover of Guitar Magazine. That showed you how serious they take him.
Oh yeah.
But again, that level of classical training, which is emphasized in European and British schools, not so much in American. I wish it were. Okay. I
Which
wish
is why I want
actors that could do other things like make art. I mean, it's sometimes they do. Okay. Val Kilmer's an artist. Sylvester Stallone is an artist. Jim Carrey's an artist. Now Brad Pitt has gone into visual art. But I think that's just accepting the realities of like, hey, I ain't gonna be the star that I was 20 and more years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know, put into another world.
Well, see, certain entertainers. There are some entertainers that are still so egotistical that they think they could be the lead at 88 years old or something. And then there are ones that step back and can be the grandpa or grandma, like Angela Lansbury was.
Well, I think at some point you have to look at yourself on camera and go, because you're going to be standing next to someone who's 30, 35, and then you're going to go, I look like that person's dad or mom. You know, it doesn't work. And I think even, you know, you have to understand, you know, the realities. And maybe at some point, I can't speak for women. Men, I think, accept that women are just too busy doing shit to their faces and bodies, you know, to try to stay looking a certain way. And for some, it works, and for others, it doesn't.
Well, some things. Well, for some way, I'll tell you this: Roger Moore, even he was like 57 in his final Bond, and he was saying things like he felt embarrassed. This is Roger Moore, mind you, and this is this guy who is even at 57 was the Immaculate Conception.
Right.
Even at 57, he was saying, "Oh, that just is so embarrassing to have this young woman." And take one look at the guy, even at 57, you can believe he could get that woman. But yeah, you can believe it. But that's the thing, though, is like even actors get to that thing. It's like, okay, he just because he was amazing looking at 25, he was comparing himself to 57. But at 57, he was ridiculous.
Right.
But those are there's the thing. There's an ego to this business, you know, and it's why the acting profession is harder than it looks. It is.
And you know, so many think, oh, I'm just going to get into acting, you know, and stand in front of a camera and talk. Okay. And for the record, that's what a lot of it appears to be. But the good actors and the good editor in film, it's the good editors. On stage, it's the good actors that make it look easy.
I know.
And you and I both know it's not. The hours of practice, the hours of running lines and scripts to the point where it sounds like you and I could be reading off a script right now, but we're having a conversation. Yeah. But if we were good actors and what we were saying were from a script, nobody would know it wasn't just a natural occurring conversation. I've had Prolgo, one of our
Robert Prolgo, yeah.
Robert Prolgo, one of our better known teachers in this town, one of our better ones, say that, you know, when actors are good at it, when they're coming to, a person could walk into the room and have no idea people are reading the script. They sound like they're just having a conversation about something. And that just takes years of practice.
Well, I think of that scene with Alan Alda and Martin Sheen on West Wing. Ice cream. And it was like, see, I will tell you this. This is the thing. It's like, and this is years and years and years and years and years and years and years of training. And the way everything, it's like what made that was not the lines, because of course they could have had that in a hallway and it been awesome with those two. But just
had it in an elevator and it would have been awesome.
Yeah. But just the ability for them to eat ice cream and just keep on line without they're eating ice cream that's melting. And it's like, and they're talking and doing all this kind of stuff. And it's just like, they're not forgetting their line. They're not skipping off. They're not anything. It's just in that moment.
Right. I know.
And
again, it's just that's the skill and the experience of just doing it day after day, week after year after year, you know, 4 years. I mean, forever, you know, they say in the acting world, it takes 20 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meisner. Yep.
And one of my acting coaches from way back says it takes 10 years just to be competent.
Yeah.
Okay. Then another 10 to be excellent.
I can tell you this. It's like I did my first 10 years in training, and I trust me, it's like, and in 12, after about 12 years, I had nine different training teachers. And it's like, it took until I was finally out of acting for a while and kind of struggling in the world and all that stuff like that for me to realize it all absorbed. But see, what makes it hard, this is what makes it hard. First off, people just look at it as lines, and then, I could do this and I can do this. The problem is the regular everyday person sees that red light and is naturally the natural ability to go perform.
Yes.
They're trying to be another caricature of the actor that they thought,
Sure.
instead of building, because the ones that are not trained do not have the understanding that you're putting yourself into that role.
And you know what else? What many directors do, especially on maybe not so much television, because in the past with television, everything has just been very, but in film, a director will take the camera on and just roll it. And then a lot of actors will start to improvisation in their characters and then kind of segue into their lines while the camera's rolling, so that rapport and the conversational manner is already there by the
Yeah.
time they start on their lines. And then all the editors have to do is go chop, chop, chop. And there it is. But in television's harder because, and even Alan Alda agreed with this several years ago in the New York Times article. He said, so-and-so, maybe they were there at 4:00. Well, so-and-so did this at 4:00. Talking about police procedurals. They're just line. There's 10 people in a room, and that one says a line, then another one says a line, and another one, and they just splice them all together. He says, no real relationship is being established.
Yeah.
That's another key. When you're reading with someone, when you're acting with someone, there needs to be some kind of relationship.
Yes.
Whether you love each other or whether you hate each other, whether you're scared of that person.
Well, Waiting for Godot is a perfect.
To your brains out. Whether you want them to get the hell away from you.
Yep.
There is a relationship.
Waiting for Godot is a perfect example of that. It is basically a 2-act relationship.
Oh,
completely.
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
In truth, I still don't understand Lucky and Pazzo, because the reasoning for them there in the first place. Because to me, every time we've read this thing, I've always felt like this is something different in my own opinion. It just felt like it took a lot of momentum away from their story. I believe it could have been a two-person play.
I think Lucky and Pazzo were the outside world coming in to their world. Okay. I think they represent an intrusion. Estragon and Vladimir have this insular relationship in this space. Okay. Regardless, it's an abstract space, but Pazzo and Lucky are examples of the outside world intruding. They're not welcome. They're not welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. They don't want Lucky. They don't want him around. Okay.
Yeah.
But they're not in a position to get rid of them exactly. I think Pazzo's a salesman. A salesman. Lucky is his. Well, he can be any number of things. Lucky's supposed to be a slave.
Yeah.
Okay. He's originally written to be a slave, but he could be symbolized by so many other different things.
Well, like I said to you before, remember we were reading it one day, and the one thing I said to you before, you could easily ask Mike Judge if he got an idea for this thing for Beavis and Butthead.
He probably did, or at least
I could see it. It's like, you could see it because you have two nerdy, dorky friends that they're only friends with each other. Right. It's their own little world. Everybody kind of just rambles on in a little bit, but they're actually interfering with theirs. You see, you remember, it's like Pazzo and Lucky. It's like both sides thinking they're interfering with each other's lives. It's like you're interfering on the life. It's like they are. It's like you would think. It's like, remember what they were saying. Why don't you leave? I was like, why don't you leave then? It's like, well, but excuses. Same with Beavis and Butthead. It's like you never see them apart ever.
Right.
It's the same. It's like, what happened?
Well, exactly. And because of that, the why don't they leave is because they're waiting for Godot. They're waiting for some unseen presence to tell them what to do. It's about slavery to, well, consider how it was written and when. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, slavery and bondage and why doesn't Lucky just leave Patso? He
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
They just leave. Let's go. They can't. It's a mental and emotional enslavement, a psychological enslavement as well. But they're not physically bound by anything.
Sure.
They can walk the heck away.
Right.
But I have ideas of how I would direct that. The more ideas I have, oh God, I would love to direct this sometime. I don't know if that's ever going to happen because I'm
a possibility.
I know it's true. I'm getting more involved with live arts theater. I'm in live arts theater is one of our local theaters here. They're kind of headquartered in Duluth, but they've kind of been in a homeless for a little while.
Yeah.
And I'm in a director's intensive, which means I'm getting training on how to approach directing a show. From start to finish, reading a play, getting things out of it, how are you seeing this? What is the themes, and how would you approach it, and questions to ask and all that, to yourself, and things to look for. And I was in an audition workshop in which I did the audition as the actor, getting feedback from others and then me giving feedback to them. It's all part of the process of casting. What do you look for? What do you want to see? You ask your actors to do something, even if it may be off the wall, just to see if they can take direction and do it. You ask and be willing to. So there's all that. But Godot, I have ideas for that show. Yeah. But we were going on about how difficult it is.
Well, and I can bring this part. You brought up waiting for Godot. I'll bring up Inherit the Wind. Yeah, I'll bring up Inherit the Wind because we brought this up like one of our first weeks. But I like to bring this. I love.
You there?
It's like I love the contrast between Spencer Tracy and Jack Lemmon when it came to Matthew. Let's see, when it came not Matthew Brady but Henry Drummond. Their contrasts. You have the of Spencer Tracy comes in trying to. It's like okay, I'll give it this for example. Like in the newer movie, the '99 version, they had Jack Lemmon, and they have everybody in the town going, "Oh my God, he was so terrible." It's like it's like he's a monster. He's a this and that. Here comes this little. Here's this little old man. And he's friendly as hell. He's friendly, he just doesn't believe. He's just friendly. Spencer Tracy's version was every bit of what they mentioned in the '99 version. He's a monster. He's somebody. He's a grouch. He's a grump. It's everything. But at the end, when Matthew Harrison Brady dies, he sighs. He sighs, and he is like, "Don't you feel anything?" He's annoyed with Hornbeck. And don't you feel anything? Don't you, the feeling and all that stuff? Didn't even get mad at him once. But yet with Jack Lemmon, who is the nice, friendly character throughout the most, and he's very cordial, and he's very everything. At the end, he wants to kill Hornbeck. He's this little bitty guy. He wants to kill Bo Bridges as Hornbeck. He absolutely just wants to strangle him. Wow. And it's just the way they did things, the contrast of how they handled it. And I wondered if Lemmon did it on purpose, if he remembered that.
Well, it's hard to say. You could probably look up something, and maybe Lemmon did an interview at some point with that, and there's probably something somewhere online about that. Oh,
but those are the things that you bring. Is like those are the things that makes acting hard. Yes,
you have to bring some inner world of the character to what may or may not be written on the page. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some writers, like me, for one, just because I
Yep.
like to make it clear who these people are. Okay, not just but what they say and how they're what the words I choose, because I read a lot and I read a lot of books and I read a lot of novels and I read so much that because they're novels, the characterization is written in it for you. Otherwise, you're going to bore the hell out of the reader. Okay,
Yeah.
they're having to kind of feed you who these people are. Whereas some film scripts give you just words on a page. And I've had actors tell me, I read your script and I already feel like I know these characters
Yeah.
because I am giving them something to work with.
Yep.
And that doesn't mean they have to be a slave to the letter. An example is when, the shoot that we did a couple of weeks ago, an actor that I was working with, he was like, if I may make a suggestion here, can I try this and this and this, even though it's not in the script? I said, go for it. I said, sure, give it a shot, and we did, several takes, and I'm going to pick the take. And of course, being the editor, you can
Mm-hmm.
pick the take that's going to make the most sense to you or, make it look best. But you also have to understand that not everything that's written on the page, no matter how good it is, no matter how strong it is, no matter how you feel, there's always something else you as the actor could bring to it. Something that's not written, because unless there is a character written with a specific actor in mind. Like I made a couple of those in my film
Yeah.
with specific actors in mind. That doesn't mean another actor can't portray them
Sure.
if it comes down to that.
Yeah.
But you want to see the actor, you want to see them bring themselves and maybe something a little different that didn't occur to you as the writer or even the director. And that's a strong actor. But another strong actor also has to be the one when the director says, no, don't, let's not
Right.
run it the way it is here, or do it this way. Or a director may stop and say, oh, like you would do this as a director. Oh, no,
Yes.
instead of that, try this instead.
Yep.
It would
Yep.
hit you as a momentary
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
And
And see,
that's how you would direct it.
absolutely. Absolutely. I wanted to bring that
I
part too.
expect you to do some of that when you're acting
which
for me.
I've already said I'm going to always do. I always said that, and I do it everywhere. So
Good.
you have nothing to worry about. But the thing is, bringing that up with what I do is like I always say this about my writings because I've written a few things myself. And see, your writing and my writing, your script's awesome, but our ways of doing writing is completely different in a certain way because I am somebody that is really almost obsessed with the idea of seeing what the actor has. For one thing, maybe it's just me, but I don't. Let's just say, there's Tarantino who wants to make 3 chapters of the explaining everything from what underwear they're wearing to what strawberry, how many seeds were in the strawberry.
Yeah.
There's those. Me, I prefer all the way up to it, all the way up to the end. He walks in the room, scene, dialogue. Getting the dialogues up. I want to see, unless I have something specific and I need to tell them, walk over here, get their mark. This is where the mark is. I want to see what they can come up with. I'm not saying that I'm a Mr. Improv guy, but I want to see what an actor has because it's like someone. I'm just saying hypothetical. We brought up Alan Alda. We bring up the Masters. I could do that with Alan Alda, and I know he'll come up with amazing.
But I also know that these actors, if they got a script that was so basic, he walks into the room, that actor, and I know that Alda himself has said this, what was happening right before then?
Right.
Who am I and why am I walking into the room?
Right.
If it's not obvious, he'll say, why am I walking into the room? But then you would have to give him a reason.
Mm-hmm.
He'd come up with it. You don't just say, oh, because. No.
Right.
Alan would always say, well, look, I got to have a reason. And if it's not obvious here in the script, is it the moment before? Is it something to do with, is there a person in that room he needs to talk to? Did he forget something in that room and he went in there and, then something else occurred and he just got distracted by something else?
Sure.
Those are the questions a good actor would ask when there's something that basic written on the page.
Oh, no, completely No, completely understood. And that's something I would not put at the beginning of I would not put that at the beginning of a movie, nor at the end of the movie. I would, because I want an explanation of what's going on through the end. What I'm talking about is like in the middle or first third of something when the scenes before have already happened and it's kind of an obvious what's going on. Then I want to see what we can get at, and we're getting into that. But like I said, there's also the writers that want to go real over exposition, which is
Well,
which is
you don't
killer.
go over the top. Now, I'm the
Yeah.
kind of girl that writes, but I have to put a little bit of an explanation into the action.
Yeah.
Okay, like the dream sequence where I set up in bed, my character sits up in bed and she's just kind of recovering from that for a minute. And then she's startled by the buzzing noise of her phone. Now, we didn't actually film that, but we can add the buzz, the sound effects of a vibrating phone on a table. Bzzz, and she
Yeah.
jumps and grabs it and looks at it.
Yep.
So we don't even have to show the phone, but it's obvious what's happening. Okay.
Sure.
And reach over, and then just grab it and then start looking at it and get see what, you don't even have to see the screen. It's obvious she's looking at a phone, and we don't need all that other stuff.
Yep.
Okay. So there's no need for any more explanation than that.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So
and
if
there
you're
isn't.
going to direct Inherit the Wind,
Uh-huh.
you're going to direct this.
Yeah.
And not act in it. Okay.
Yep.
Who would be your ideal Drummond and your ideal Brady?
To this day, correct?
Hmm?
This day or any day?
This currently, right now.
Current day. Current day. As far as, well, for one thing, I'll just say this: the kid that's getting let's see, the kid who's the one that Dick York played in the movie. I forget his. He was the kid getting he was in court that Drummond had to defend.
Well, I haven't seen it, so no, I don't know who you're talking about.
But anyway, the kid Dick York played him. I would put the kid as Ansel Elgort.
Who?
Ansel Elgort. He's a he was a young guy, and he was in Baby Driver, and he was about. I mean, the kid's really good.
Okay.
So I would have him as the kid's getting defended. The teacher, I'd have him as getting defended. I would probably, and I would say this: I could easily put. Guess you want to know who I'd put for Drummond? Bradley Whitford.
Good choice.
Bradley Whitford is Drummond, and as far as Matthew Harrison Brady, whoo, because I see the thing is, to me, it's such a one-dimensional. It's such a one-dimensional
now,
because he's
Brady the one.
Brady's the Bible beater. He's a Bible beater, and that's the thing. It's so one-dimensional. Drummond. The reason I gave it to I was saying Bradley Whitford. The idea, I love the idea of somebody. Okay, he's totally not. I mean, but is he an agnostic, I say, or is he not? Is he changing? There's so many layers to it. Matthew Harrison Brady feels one-dimensional. So who do I put? What great actor do I put in on that?
Well, now you're talking about either film or TV actors, and some do both.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about what age bracket here? 40s, 50s?
Here's another possible idea. They don't have to be all white. You can put Dule Hill in that.
Could be. Absolutely. Sure.
Make it a new change. Put Dule Hill. Dule Hill could play either, truthfully.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right there. No question. And what about the judge?
Well, that was Harry Morgan one. Harry Morgan was in the first one. I forget who's in the second.
I mean, it's a Tracy role.
Oh no, that's what I was saying. This Tracy role is Bradley Whitford.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The judge by itself. Let's see. You had Harry Morgan. You had let's see. Right now, at this point, Hugh
How
Laurie.
about a female?
Possibly, but also Hugh Laurie if it's male.
Hugh Laurie would be great.
Yep.
Hugh Laurie would be great.
And I can see
about someone like Angela Bassett.
Possibly, that'd work. But Hugh Laurie as a he could do a house level type of thing with I'm just saying, I'm saying the snarminess, the wise ass.
The wise ass. Absolutely.
Yeah. So no, Angela Bassett would work. That could work also with something like that if we were to do something. But I was saying if it was the male Hugh Laurie,
That'd
who
be
would your be? You have to watch the movie. We'll have to watch that together. I'll let you see who would you pick. You know?
yeah, absolutely. I'd love to see at least one version of that because I've never have.
Yeah. Oh no, 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 no. It's amazing. It's an amazing movie. So it's no, it's like we'd have to see either version. It's like the other one's George C. Scott and Jack Lemmon with Bo Bridges as Hornbeck, and Gene Kelly plays Hornbeck in the first one.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the scene they both played the same. They're both just snarmy, proud to be atheists. They're both snarmy and everything. They neither Kelly and Gene Kelly and Bo Bridges play the exact same way.
Cool.
So yeah, you'll enjoy that part. It's like and see, and the main thing that they were making out of that whole deal is victims. Is the who was the victim? Was it the students as the victim? Or was it the teacher that was the victim of this? Or is the town big? They make this part of the deal. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Right.
was the teacher a victim or were the kids victims?
Well, that just all depends on how you define victim.
Yeah, that's the way that they go. It's like they bring it and see. But the thing is, even back in those days, though, they weren't. It's like by itself. It's like because of the internet, it didn't feel so prevalent. But now we do have a cult of victimhood, and it's in politics. The
Oh,
first step.
dear me. Everybody's a fucking victim.
Well,
You know what? No one has the obligation to make, okay, as someone who has been, I dare say that I would put myself in that category to some degree because
mhm,
being diagnosed, going through life, not ever having been diagnosed as neurodivergent, which is something I feel that I am.
sure.
Um, you always feel like the outsider, the one who's picked on, the one who doesn't have joined the crowd, the one who is not the team player, just whatever you want to put it. And it always made me feel like the guilty one, or was made to feel like because I didn't fit in or have any interest in those kind of things as a kid growing up, whatever. Kind of always marched to my own tune.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really a victim per se, but there are those that kind of turn it into one, because something like that into one. I wasn't abused.
Right.
I didn't have to come home to, an abusive parent, alcoholic parent, or step person who was, all up in your face, or worse, even sexually abused, any of that.
Sure.
That was never my life. I actually had it pretty damn good compared to a lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to my room. I had a big ass bookshelf full of books.
Oh, you and books. Yeah, no question.
Me and my books. Okay. And then when I got a
Yeah.
little bit older, I had my own TV. So I was like, fuck you. I've got what I need. So,
Yeah.
so, I had it pretty good that way.
Well, at
But
least your parents didn't have to worry about you getting yourself around trouble and all that stuff
no,
too. If you got,
far from it. Far
Yeah.
from it. I actually didn't get into trouble until I got to be an adult, but that's a whole nother story.
Well, the thing about victimhood, though, the thing about it is we see it everywhere. It's like I'll give you, we got a bunch of examples. We'll say the politics in a minute, but I like this is exactly what I have been brought up. I brought this up on one of my pundit shows. Actually, we bring up Jussie Smollett, or as David Chappelle called Juicy Smollett. We bring this part. You have to think about this for a second. He had two Nigerian bodybuilders that were hired, and they were there, and stuff like that. You got to remember, I got beat up by MAGA people, whatever. You know what I'm saying? In Chicago, the very bastion of MAGA, Chicago. But the thing was, you have to think about this where the victimhood thing comes. If he had a thought process, remember, Jussie Smollett is a gay man. He wasn't, his head wasn't even, who cares? But I'm saying, his head wasn't in the game like this to think like this. He could have hired those two and shut them up and paid them so he could kick their ass on camera. They would attack him and he kicked their ass on camera. He would be the very first gay, the out and out gay the action hero by miles.
Sure.
And it would, because he would be on camera and he would be choreographing the thing or whatever, and it showed on that camera instead of him getting his butt kicked. But he thought about getting his butt kicked because he's quote unquote gay. He thought of that, the victimhood thing, where he was trying to do this to save his career, where if he was using his head, choreographing a fight where he wins against two bodybuilders would have boosted him.
Well, it's so easy to fall into a state of learned helplessness. Okay, is that the person who acts Maher? Okay,
Yeah.
Bill Maher. He's
Yep.
attacked right and left because he's outspoken and firm with his beliefs and what he says and what he thinks. He's attacked all the time.
Yeah.
Okay, and I love him to death. Anybody who speaks out for himself or herself and stands their ground and refuses to tolerate an attack or a wrongful act, whatever, or anything, even just an argument, aggression, the other, oh, you're victimizing me, or I feel intimidated, or I'm offended. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I say. You know who a real victim is? I'm going to tell you about a real victim. Is a 10-year-old girl who was raped, became pregnant from that rape, and had to cross state lines to get an abortion. That is a victim.
Yeah, and people with
crime,
words are not victims.
Not only of a crime, but of a system that wouldn't allow her to get an abortion in the state she was in.
The thing is, though, words are not going to make. I'm sorry, words are not going to be the same level of victim. They are not. And that's where people.
Have you ever heard the phrase "sticks and stones"?
Exactly. Break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Right.
And we're getting worse now with politics. I said I was going to bring this up, and I'm going to start somewhere with my world, but I'm going to say that's true. Republicans have gotten worse and worse and worse and worse with it. And it's like, and I'll tell you why. In 2016, when I got all the emails, it can be from, and I'm saying this, it can be from, at the time, Trump. It can be from any of the others, Ted Cruz, any of those. You get all the ones. You know what I'm saying? You want to know that it was the Democrats with the emails, all the emails of, oh my God, they're going to kill this country. They're going to start wars. They're going to do all this. Every email was just desperate. The Democrats were. The Republicans were, we're going to be winning. We're going to win. Trump especially. So confident. We're going to get this. He's 10 behind and he's going after this in 2016. Do you know what it is now, though?
What?
It is, oh my God, we're behind. This is Trump. Oh my God, we're behind. Oh my God, it's like we're in so much trouble. Pay me more. Like, the donations, that kind of stuff. Oh my God, it's the thing. Oh my God. And it just spreads over to like Ryan Zinke. I'm almost on my last legs. Help. Oh my God. He's in Montana. He's supposed to be the Navy SEAL. And he's saying, I'm on my last legs and need more money. And it's like everything is victimhood instead. There's no confidence anywhere.
Democrats are doing it too. They're just trying to get money. That's it.
Yeah, but victimhood is currency. Victimhood is currency.
Except people who really are victims.
Yeah.
Except people who really are victims.
Yeah.
Okay? And this is just disgusting to me. And I know it's not just me. Okay. It even comes down to young men, predominantly young men, traditionally young men, who have been regarded as self-regarded and self-identified as something called incels. Okay.
It's our last 10. So yeah, I'm glad.
I am sorry, guys, but I need to tell you something as a female. You are not entitled to anyone giving you sex.
Yeah.
Okay. You need to get off your goddamn TikToks machines. You need to quit playing video games. You need to get out there, learn how to talk to people, go to a bar, risk getting rejected. You're going to get rejected. That's just life. Learn how to have a conversation, develop an interest in something, take some money and invest in some decent clothes. I've seen how these guys look and dress.
Yeah.
I mean, even a blind chick wouldn't have sex with them. Okay. Just because they're so not there. There's nothing there.
And you know,
Me and fathers used to educate young men on how to handle women. Okay.
yeah. Well,
And they
see,
ain't around to do that anymore. Instead, there's this shit.
well, and see, and the thing is,
And porn
incel. There was
videos.
just this thing. There was just this guy. I don't know if you'd seen the deal or not. He was planning. He had a manifesto that he wrote all by himself. He was going to kill 3,000 sorority girls around the country. He was going to
Good
kill them.
luck, kid.
Yeah, and well, he got caught before he got one, and he was going to kill them. And he was saying it's just because they kept rejecting him, and they don't, you know, and you take a look at the kid, he looks nuts. But the biggest issue that we also have, there's a few things too here. You said the phone. You and I were both 19, 20 years old. We're the same age. You and I are both 19, 20 years old, 21 maybe, before we had a cell phone. We had a kid, a child, and a partial adult lifetime without a phone.
I grew up going outside and playing with friends.
Yeah.
I grew up in a school that kind of, encouraged, although again, this goes back to me not really being crazy about it, but it's something you learn how to do. When I was a teenager, we had a phone that was a dial little thing, and my girlfriends and I, we would be on, blah, 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 blah. There was no online videos. There was no TikTok. There was no connecting with people who were insane and listening to some of the shit. It's all there. We had your friends to talk to, and at least you knew and you understood how to have a conversation. Okay. Even if it was just one or two people, you had that.
Well, there's incel networks on like Reddit and stuff that they have whole networks of people just talk. Go,
and
oh my
they're
God,
all talking about the same shit.
Women are terrifying me, or they don't want to screw with me. They don't want to fuck me. They don't want this. And it's like this is another thing we've missed with this too. A huge thing we've missed with this. Men do not help other men. I'm talking about fathers too.
Yes.
They're not helping men. It's like another thing. Media makes men look ridiculous.
Yes, it does. Now. I agree.
Media makes men. It is like any time that you get. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Anytime you ever get any sort of a show that shows a powerful man, head of his family. I mean, right now the Terminal List. It's a tremendous show. It's on Amazon, and it's a 96% of Rotten Tomatoes, or no, excuse me, 96% from the people at Amazon, like 30% of Rotten Tomatoes, because of all the idea. Oh, it's a man it's a man that is strong, and he, all that kind of stuff like that. He's the head of his house. They hate and see. So every single time they're gonna have people that are that afraid to make a story about a strong man. So then you get this thing where you get boys who think that they're going to feel guilty of being men. And we're talking men's men.
And we're also talking about kids who become addicted to this superhero shit. Okay. Now I can't speak for all of them. Back in the day when Superman, his goal was to fight for truth, justice, and the American way.
Yeah.
Now those are noble. Now the American way, I mean, that was so 1940s. That was just the end of the World War II era. And patriotism was the thing. You had goals, you had values, and Superman personified all of those. But he came from another planet. But that was incidental. Okay.
Right.
Nowadays it's all about just beating up the bad guy. Okay. They doesn't stand for anything.
Or shiny thing. Like what Bill Maher said. Yeah, they're going to pick up shiny thing. I got to get the shiny thing. Go to the shiny thing.
Something. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't know if there's an answer. The real answer. Okay. You know what the real answer is? And I would challenge all these pro-lifers, especially men, fathers, stick around, raise your kids right. them some old-fashioned values. If you don't know what they are, look them up. Okay, look up your grandfather's generation and find out how they did it. Okay, because you're not going to find it in the last 30 years.
Well, this is what boys did during that time, and for hundreds and hundreds of years. I'm just saying this part here for all these times. Boy is born, and about 3, 4 years old, dad might like throw a ball underhanded to him, or or you're gonna swing the bat or whatever. 7 years old, he's given a screwdriver to learn these things. We're talking everything that boys did to turn into men.
Sure.
And it's like, and then at 14 to 16, the dad's gonna teach him how to deal with women.
Or drive.
And what?
And drive.
And drive. Everything where a man's gonna be set into men. And I'm saying this now, these things are missing bad. Then they want, it's like when you have the boys that are watching everything on media, whether it's social media, TV, or whatever, and men are just embarrassing on there. And they're embarrassing and they look ridiculous and it's absurd. And it's like the wife has to save the day or any of these type of things, and they're wimpy. And then you have these, and then you have certain shows where the man is the hostage and the woman comes to protect it, to go save him. And she's 110 pounds. And I'm just this is the thing. And you have this, and it's like, I used to make fun of Lifetime Network because the man was worthless and the woman had to save herself. But at least the woman did. The woman had to do it out of desperation. She wanted the man to save her. She'd go walk to him every time, and he was shot, beat up, whatever. But at least he was trying. Right. Now they're worthless, and then boys see this, and then all this of it. Then you get these groups, the incel groups. You get all this, and then there's that issue. Constant issue, and then all of a sudden, okay, now men are suck, and then by the way, now women suck. Now I got to shoot them.
Yeah, and that's not the answer either. Okay, and there are women that want a strong man. Okay, listen, my girlfriend.
Way more to this day. Way more to this day.
My girlfriends, okay, my female friends. Now, one or two of them are married, and they have their lives. But a couple of my single girlfriends and I were all in the same age, and we're all career professional type girls.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had the conversations about men. It doesn't always go to that, because some of my single friends probably haven't had a boyfriend or a guy in a long time. But we've talked about how American men are useless. Useless. Because they're brought up to be, okay? Yep. And this is just, one of my friends had tried to get married many moons ago, and then she was divorced less than a year later, okay? But all of us, we want a strong guy in our lives, and not to do every fucking thing.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, you could be a little bit, men didn't do every fucking thing even back in the day.
Well, I mean, you got to remember, women used to go get firewood too. They used to go do that. If women did know how to use tools, because especially if men had to go across, they had to learn those things.
We had to learn some things, sure, to keep things going while men were out hunting.
Yeah.
But that that's going way back. And then I'm talking even in like the 50s, 40s,
yeah.
50s, 60s. Men had jobs. They earned the paycheck. They'd come home. The woman had been slaving all day in the kitchen or washing clothes or making sure the kids didn't kill themselves out in the yard. And speaking of kids, learned how to go out and fucking play without having mommy right there to watch every move they make.
You ever watch Mad Men? You ever watch the show Mad Men?
No, actually, no, I've never seen
Here's
that.
What's fun. There's Don Draper, John Hamm, by the way. And there's a part in there later in the series, by the way, and he's with his girlfriend at the time. You know what I'm saying? And they're in a house. The faucet is it just starts to fall apart, and then it starts to blow, and the woman tries to put it on, and it starts to blow. I mean, mind you, these are two the John Hamm's character, Don Draper, and the other part and all that stuff. They are. I mean, these are just white collar people. You wouldn't think anything that they ever got their hands dirty, but instantaneously takes off the white shirt. There's a t-shirt under there, of course. Takes off the white shirt and then boom, you know what I'm saying? Right then and there, it's like, I mean, right then and there, he takes it off. He goes under the sink and he turns that thing off. These are not handymen, but men were expected to know.
My father was a white collar guy, worked
Yeah.
in insurance, okay? But he knew how to come home and fucking mow the lawn. He would trim the outside bushes. Now, my mom would help with certain things, and she could certainly do some things. My dad, I never saw my mom use the lawnmower. That was my dad's job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He could fix the sink and the toilet.
Yeah.
And even certain things with a car. It was a man thing. It was a guy thing. It was understood. And
Well,
I'm going to tell you something. I don't know if we're ever going to have that again. I don't know. And
well, what's going to
unfortunately,
have to be, it can happen again. And I'm saying it's like, well, I was bringing up with Don Draper, and he's going to he's helping just shut off the sink that's blowing up and all that stuff he's doing. And it's like, it's just, even though he's a white collar guy, he doesn't get, men were just taught. That's what they were. They were just taught. They knew the thing.
and
But
the thing is, boys crave this stuff.
yeah,
I know they do.
yep. And
I know they do. And
I
they would give anything to be able to, like, be with dad, and while he's tinkering around in the garage or something, or somewhere, and learn a shop class. I know that intrinsically they want, the girls may or may not give a shit one way or the other. Okay. It's just, we're a different animal. But I appreciate knowing some things about the car. Okay. First of all, it saves me money. All right. Like changing the light bulb, but certain things that I'm capable of doing, but where I wouldn't get myself hurt. All right. But I know that little boys age 2 and 3 have little toy cars. It's just in them, to want to do this stuff. So why aren't they being taught?
Well, something, I think it can come back to that. You know what I'm saying? I really believe it can come back. But you know what it's going to take? It's going to take that one big name somewhere that finally says to the online bots and the losers, and by the way, hand in hand, but I'm saying that will say, shut up.
Well, I think there are those that do, but not enough are doing it enough to make it stop.
Well, like, for instance, Chris Pratt is man's man. He does all that stuff like that, and he doesn't listen to the bots, but he doesn't exactly get aggressive with them either. He just ignores them. There's got to be somebody that is willing to get aggressive with these things to the point where they're not going to care anymore. And see, and I'll tell you, there are people that they crave this. They want to see the man. Here's the thing, they put a belief of Donald Trump to be the man. No, but here's the thing, though. In 2016, it looked at, considering how milquetoast and wimpy Mitt Romney was. So it looked at, they just didn't realize until at the end, when, just being very, very honest, when he became he's a 14-year-old girl. Yeah. A 9-year-old girl.
Yeah.
He's just whiny. He's a victim at everything. But this world, not even just the United States, this world wants men. They will crave it. And when it's this desperate that you're going to go to the guy who never touched a tool in his life and make him the man's man, this is where they're just being honest with it. It's like, they can be open like that. You know what I'm saying? When they're craving it,
Well, I know, and I have actually been laughed at. This, when I've said it in the past, it's like, God, whatever happened to real men? And I've had guys just look at me like, really? Thought you were supposed to be such a feminist. I said, that's not a definition of a feminist. That's not what a feminist is.
Feminists want equality, but they also want a strong man.
Thank you.
Guess what? There's a difference between feminist and feminazi.
And I've said that too.
Yeah.
And I said, there is a difference, dude. Look it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feminist. Yeah. Feminazi, as much as that was a term from Rush Limbaugh, it very much exists. Feminazi exists.
It's an accurate description.
Yeah. It's like literally the idea of destroying men. It is the idea of destroying. Feminists want equality with the men. And I've always said it. I've always said this. Strong man, strong woman equals strong kids.
Women want equality with regards to opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. Now doesn't mean we're equal in terms of what we are.
Yeah.
We're not equal.
Oh,
You
yeah, yeah.
have a physique very different than mine.
Yes.
You might have certain requirements for a medical checkup and stuff, and would look at certain things that would be very different than mine. We are
Yeah.
not the same. Okay.
Right.
Um, it just no, and so much of that has been played out for the last 30 years. That I know modern American women who are in their 30s and 40s, and some of them older,
Yeah.
are just going, what the hell do we have to do? You know, and it's not even just about having sex. It's about having somebody reliable in your life.
Yeah. Well, even talking about the sex, can the men that you see, a lot of them, can they even get it up?
I don't know.
And see, and those are the things, because there's what gets them turned on. There's so many weird fetishes out there. Could they even get turned on properly?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. I couldn't
Yeah.
say. I'm not a man, but I get turned on by what occurs naturally in terms of men and women, and I certainly don't require anything out of the ordinary or
Right.
even peculiar or hard to get
Yeah.
to turn me on.
Well,
Everything in me works just perfectly well.
yeah. And oh yeah, and it's like it works with me. And it's like, but also I had a lifetime to it's like I would say this. It works for anybody that just has a feeling and the confidence that they're a man, or a woman. That they have the confidence is the biggest thing. Mind you, there's certain things that happen when you get a little older. There's everything.
Sure.
But I mean, which is, you're not going to be the same at 20 as you at 40 as you are at 20. You're not going to be. But
Nope.
but the thing is, the main thing that happens with something like this is activity, keeping around, keeping busy, and confidence. And what confidence ever does an incel have of any type?
I couldn't tell you. I don't even know. I did. The only confidence they have is their hatred of women, or the
Mm-hmm.
resentment of women, or the sense of entitlement. That's it. And
Well,
there's
see,
where it comes down to. And but understand that most of these incels came up with the complimentary trophy generation. Okay,
oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah.
participation trophies. Marr
Yes,
calls them. There was an episode tonight I looked at about participation trophies. Okay, they don't want to work for anything.
yeah. And
There
it's
was
like,
a time, and gosh, the 50s. Oh my gosh. And every 80s romantic comedy is about a guy who's trying to get the girl and he can't, and he's messing up, he's trying too hard. But then all of a sudden, something will occur and it will happen to him naturally. And it may be nothing more than just, something you don't even think about. And it'll all of a sudden get the girl's attention somehow. It's like, whoa, all this time I've had it within me to get, the girl, as it were. And I don't know. We just don't have that anymore.
well, you ever seen the movie Hitch?
No.
Will Smith, Kevin James. There was a part they're showing that he hires Kevin James's character hires Will Smith to help him get the girl that he wants, and the girl is like a famous I think a businesswoman or something. I forget the thing.
Mhm.
And he's a dork, and he wants to be able to get this, but he's trying to teach him to be cool, and it looks completely not genuine at all.
All
the
right.
the girl sees right through it, but the girl likes the dork part of him. Every once in a while he'll trip over his own feet and she'll get a laugh out of it. But when he's trying to be the coolest in the world, she's like, well, he's a sweetheart, he's all this. But she liked the dork.
She likes the
She
dork because it's natural.
Yes. Yep.
And women love to laugh. Women likes a guy who makes them laugh.
Yep.
And whether or not he intended to.
And at the end of the movie, that it was like, even Will Smith's like, what did I do? I didn't do a thing. Even though it was probably giving him confidence to go after the woman, probably gave that. But he was saying, I didn't do a thing. It's like he got he got her himself. And it's like but that's the thing. We're not it's like we have with men, we're not teaching this with men. It's like there is certain level of it where it is a game. This is where, remember,
Oh
it's a game, and it's like you got to be able to, okay, you show your confidence. There's all kinds of different types, different things, different this, and there's a game, and they don't want to play it.
yeah. I want to tell you something. When I worked at the bookstore, and this was back in the late 2000s,
Sure.
late 2000s up to 2010s or so. The bookstore closed in 2011, so it was up until then. There was a book that was going around that was becoming very popular. I can't recall who wrote it. It could be looked up, Pimpology.
Right.
And it was very popular. And I remember selling a lot of these to a lot of young Black boys.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the attitude they're being taught about women.
Mm-hmm.
Pimpology.
Yeah.
There's another one called The Art of Seduction.
Yep.
I got news for them. That shit don't work. Not with real women. And it just, and this is why. I mean, it just, those attitudes, having that attitude about women is why, one, these incels can't get anyone, because who wants to be treated that way?
Yeah.
Okay. Who wants to be thought of as just an object to acquire? We're
Yep.
human beings. All right. There's feelings, there's reciprocation, there's, men and women like think and do things very differently, but you can match. You certainly can, and it does, and it has. You don't have to possess someone to get them to stay with you.
Yeah. Well, the thing about seduction, the art of seduction also is not just dating. That's seduction in business. It's seduction in different things, and like trying to get your way. There's a billion ways. Like if you want to get something, business is seduction. There is so much different ways you can put seduction in the middle of the deal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's like it's not just women. It's not just women. It's not just getting it. I see. There's a 48 laws of power, which I believe is a wonderful for men to learn. 48 laws of power, and probably women too. It's not a gender strong book. It can
Right.
be either. But it's like, but it's like 48 laws of power. It's the idea of power, of how to gain power without, just like, running through a brick wall,
Right.
like running through a brick wall. Oh, not that kind of power, like subtle power. It's taught that, and it's a very popular book, but that gets attacked all the time by certain things because they consider it as men.
Yeah, well, I know, and I got to tell you something. And the media is bad about this, about turning natural interests of boys and young men into toxic masculinity. There's nothing toxic about little boys that want to go run out and play sports, or are interested in cars, or
Yeah.
tinkering with, exploring the outdoors and wanting to play with dead things. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a natural curiosity and a sense of exploring your world. When it becomes unhealthy is when they turn it into a kind of an obsession. And if you're ever up for it, watch the Dahmer series for nothing more the reason than to look, it's not horror. Okay.
I know.
It's the development of the psyche of a very sick individual whose home life was a disaster, at least according to the show.
Sure.
When he started turning his aggression, his dad is the one who taught him how to cut up animals. Okay.
Yep.
He developed an unhealthy fixation on that. Okay. But and there's where it happens. Okay. And I mean, it could be anything, and it's just, but a natural curiosity to have tadpoles. Okay. When we were kids, we'd capture lizards and whatever, and go out and play until it's, dark outside. Yes. And that boy that did that is a sense of empowerment for a kid. a
Yep.
sense of who they are and where they belong in the world, and that they're not getting it and haven't
No, I
been
know.
the last 20 years.
Well, Matt Damon. Here's another thing. We've gotten to the situation in this life where everything is extreme. Like Matt Damon, for instance, was saying during Me Too, there's a difference between a sexual assault and rape and looking at a girl's ass. And then, of course, they went out all attacking him. Oh my God, he's just a man, all that kind of stuff like that. And it's like this kind of shit's where you get incels because it's like, guess what? A man wants to look at a girl's ass. It's just this. It just is. That's the way to think. It doesn't mean they're going to grope them, and it doesn't mean they're going to attack them. It's just what that is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And those things happen, and it's like, so you get incels from that attitude.
Oh, I know.
You get incels from that attitude when you take the natural boy away from them, the natural man away from them, and then you make them humiliated. You get them humiliated in the whole deal, and it's terrible. And it's like at that point, and you're asking, could we ever come back? Yes, but like I said, you have Chris Pratt's going to ignore the chodes and the nerds and the online bots. He's going to ignore that, but he's not going to attack them. It's got to take someone getting aggressive with them. Someone with some power to get aggressive and not care about the losing their advertisers or not care about all that. They have to finally just say, and then that's going to take a generation because the generation's got to be born seeing it.
I know.
Because you're going to get this generation that's going to be a panderer, like John Fetterman of Pennsylvania is going for the Pennsylvania. He's the one facing Dr. Oz. He puts up a shirt that says Fetter Woman with pink on it and does all that kind of stuff like that. And it's like, I am a Fetter Woman. And it made it look like that his stroke has just affected him completely, which he had a stroke before his thing. And it's like, that's just pandering.
Yeah.
There isn't a real woman that cares about that.
True.
Yeah. But
In fact,
it's
most
like,
women would roll their eyes at it.
vast majority.
Yes. A good many of us
you
would
would.
roll our eyes
You
at
would.
it.
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I would.
Yeah.
Because that's not what you are, dude. The only
Yeah.
people that might actually like it or get into it are highly insecure women.
Yeah.
Or very young women who are intimidated by men. Okay.
Yeah.
Teenagers and young women are intimidated. Oh, honey, by the time you're in college, women are like this. Okay. 13, 14-year-old girls. Okay.
Yeah.
They are the ones who would be intimidated. But by the
Yes.
time you're 20 years old, you're doing this.
Right.
All right. At least any well-adjusted 20-year-old.
Right. Those are the things, though.
Girls are more well-adjusted at 20 than boys are, though. Guys.
Oh God, yes, I know this.
Much more. I see it in the colleges. I see it around. Young guys are like, ooh. And young
they're
walk down the
13-year-olds.
street with their heads held high and they're, boys are not being prepared for that confidence.
No.
At
No, they're
all.
not.
At all.
Yep.
That's why you got incels.
Well, and I always say this part. I always say the difference between being around with being around with my mom and my dad when I was around. I was close with both of them, but the difference was literally I was an 8-year-old boy that was able to go inside of an MRI machine when they were testing something with dad around, and you could have put me in a tornado and not have a thing of fear. I'm with mom and I'm going getting ready for a test. I'm throwing up on the side of the road.
You're what?
I'm with mom and we're going to school one day and I'm getting ready for a test and I'm throwing up on the side of the road. And it's like complete. I mean, and I'm close with both of them with growing up, and the contrast is completely different of how I thought. But it's like I had that. I mean, if I would have lost dad at 15, he had a congestive heart failure. If I would have lost him at 15 years old, I mean, my world would have changed. Completely would have changed because he was the man. I was lucky he stuck around and I got to be able to. But there's a lot of boys that don't have that confidence.
Oh, a good many of them don't.
Yeah.
Where they may have developed that confidence is in a smaller town.
Yeah.
Okay. But, there's pros and cons to everything. I mean, you need to be able to get along with women, females as human beings. Okay. There shouldn't be the yes, dear kind of
Yeah.
housewife that there was in the 50s. And that was a load of crap too. Okay. It
Yeah.
was. You also have to be able to hold your own, and not
Mm-hmm.
be this, authoritarian, but you've got to have a sense of, oh man, listen, those 50s era, I mean, we laugh at it because of how TV and all that was depicted the man as strong, but if the woman ever just decided to pack her bags up and leave him, he'd be like, Doris, don't leave me, please, Doris.
Yeah. It was like, oh, look
if
at
she ever just like put her hat on and coat and picked up her purse and walked out the door, the man would be like, but honey, but I didn't mean it. But blah, blah, blah.
Every episode of a 50s and 60s TV show. I'm talking I Love Lucy, Leave It to Beaver. Every episode you go find one episode out there somewhere. Okay, guess what? Andy Griffith's show. Aunt B goes out of town. Every episode is to deal with the man that doesn't know how to mop. They don't know how to cook. They look ridiculous. And it's like, and that was that thing. It's like the men were the breadwinners, but the women were the soul.
Yeah. I mean, there's the sense of equality right there.
Exactly.
There's the sense of it. And while, not every woman wants to be at home cooking and cleaning, and, maybe they do want to be in the office and working, and there's certain ones that do and are good at it. But what happened was, let me tell you, and I know we're kind of getting down to the wire here.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s, and even into the 90s, when women went back to work, all of a sudden we were expected to do it all. We were expected to do an 8-9 hour work day, then come home and help the kids with their homework and keep their clothes clean and make sure they had lunch to take to school the next day and breakfast and the groceries and the bills. Nobody can sustain that. Nobody. And you know who suffered for it? The kids.
Yep.
That generation of kids, our generation, Generation X, most of us, okay, we're the ones who suffered for it.
Yep.
A good portion of us. And it has not ever really corrected itself.
No, and it's like
what they're trying to do is go back to this born again religiosity, just oppressive, backward thinking kind of thing, which is not the answer. It wasn't like that in the 50s and 60s.
Well, you said it yourself, though. You said it last week, actually. It's the idea that it was what was you saying last week about the during the times? It was those times that we had. Forget about it. My brain is completely blocked. There's something you said last week that really made something to me. You know what I mean? And I was like, "What? We have a problem. Where we have a problem by itself." You said that the women had to do it all. Women had to do it all. This is where the women were told to go get jobs and go get everything. You can go up in the corporate world. You can go do this, which nothing wrong with that. Not a darn thing wrong with it, except for the fact that you got to go cook too. You got to go get everything. And the men have not learned how to cook any better.
They haven't learned how to do anything any better. Yeah. They come home and sit home and finger the damn remote control. Well,
they haven't learned how to do that. They haven't learned how to. Here's the thing. If you're going to have a gender switch, if you're going to have that, you remember All in the Family, you had the Lorenzos. It was Irene and anyway, it was with they were the next door neighbors. She worked with Archie. She worked with Archie in the plant. He stayed home and cooked and cleaned, and did all that kind of stuff like that. And he did all the stuff. It was reverse roles. It was reverse roles. They did that in the 70s.
Let me tell you something.
But at least he could cook.
My dad can cook.
Yeah.
And he still does. My mother can cook. She still does.
Yeah.
But my dad likes his breakfast his way.
Right.
Okay. He makes his breakfast. He will make us spaghetti and meatballs.
Yeah.
He grew up as an Italian. Of course he can cook.
Yes.
Okay. That's not a dishonorable thing in an Italian family for the man to know how to cook.
Well, like I said, the women
All
learn how
right.
to use the women in this world learn how to use tools now. And again, nothing wrong with that. You know what I mean? Not a thing wrong. It's like they learned how to use tools. They learned how to do all the things that men would get, but the men did not learn any different.
Not
They did
much.
not learn that at all. So basically the women are doing it all.
Yes.
And it's like mind you, you still have the farm towns. You still
Yes.
have the farm towns where the men are power and everything like that, and everything, and the farm towns and the construction area and all that stuff where men still are strong. Those are the small Midwest towns, the small Southern towns. They're still there, but we're talking the big cities. It is blah.
Suburbia in big cities. Yeah.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
know. Tell me about it. I've lived in it, suburbia and big cities my whole life.
Yeah. Yeah. And
And
it's like,
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. I mean,
well,
and
oh, I go back home every once in a while. I go back home. And you go into like you drive into like Little Liberty, Illinois, Little Ursa, Illinois. You don't, and you get the thing, and the men are still the same as they always were. Every bit. They still drive tractors. They still doing all the work. They still getting crops. They're still doing all that stuff. I brought up the thing with Missouri today that that the governor just did a sales tax. Just cut the sales tax for that benefited farmers. Of course,
mhm,
he's going to win this by 35 points now. But it's
sure.
like, but that because it's mostly farms, and those were the little things. It's like you go back to those areas, it's still the same thing. But you go into a big city, it is night and day.
But you know what? Those smaller areas are struggling. They really struggled during the pandemic.
Yeah,
Okay. They're struggling now. They struggled for 20 years. Now, I
yeah,
think the benefits to farmers is going to help some, but not rural areas are struggling.
yeah,
Okay. One, automation.
yeah,
Okay. Of course, we always need milk and we're going to need cheese and we're going to need pigs and cow pork, fruits and vegetables and harvested stuff. Okay. But the
yep,
conglomerates are beginning to move in or have moved in and had taken over and a lot of it. Okay. And those places are struggling.
yeah,
And
I know.
it's sad to see. And of course, not a whole lot of progress, as you've said yourself.
Oh yeah.
Much progress.
Oh, went home a couple years ago, and someone was. This is 2020, mind you. Okay, going home, and there's somebody's telling me about their newfangled let's see, gas machine that because they had those old school click 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 gas things. They had
Yeah.
these newfangled ones with the video. And it's like, and I'm like, how in the
We've had
world
that here for 6, 7 years.
oh my no 60 like 15 20 25, but it's like here's what we're saying. It's like these newfangled, they said newfangled, we're not even talking about the video screens. I'm talking about digital. They called that
Mhm.
newfangled. And it's
Well,
like, so how in the world are you going to get electric cars and the electric pumps and everything like that in those areas? How are you
not
ever going to
anytime
get that
soon.
working?
Not anytime soon.
Yeah, and that's where this is where everybody's missing everything. It's like, are you forgetting them? It's like, or if when the minute you forget them, Trump wins again. But at this, like, I'm just being truthful. We talked about this we talked about this with the way that they were. It's like the Democrats were once the ones with blue collar and farmers,
I know.
completely and utterly. And it's like the minute they forgot them, guess who swept in,
Of
and
course.
they're not getting them back.
Well, that's been the case with Bill Maher has been talking about that for multiple episodes.
Yeah,
Okay. There's no one to speak for them, which is wrong, which is sad. And the Democrats have become the party of identity politics.
yeah,
Okay. Working people, the ACLU used to be for the working man.
yeah,
They're the ones that were in charge of the rights of the workers and made sure things were copacetic. And now it's like, unless you're some kind of racial minority or gender minority or something, the ACLU wouldn't even listen to your case.
And it's even, and something, the thing is, woke is chewing itself from inside.
Oh yeah. And I
Because
knew
you're
that.
never too woke.
I knew
Never
that.
woke enough.
I said something about that, as you know, and I was eaten alive for it.
Well, they're eating themselves from inside, and it's like, they can go kill themselves for all I can. But you know something? We're at hour 30, and we were supposed to go an hour, and I am proud of this because we had this was an even better episode than the last.
Yep, and they all keep getting better.
Yes, they do, and we have something going on this here. And by the way, soon enough, folks, everybody that's watching right now, we're gonna have a guest real soon.
Absolutely, and we're gonna look forward to having guests on the show regularly.
Yes, we are. And the first guest is going to be majority with TJ. I'm gonna surprise you with this one. It's gonna be majority of TJ. Those two are gonna have a great conversation, and I'm gonna watch. I'm a standing room thing. I might even have popcorn.
There you go.
But it's like but you're gonna listen to it because it's gonna be a great conversation over their issues. It is their world, their time. So I'm going to give that to them, and I'll be around to watch and ask a couple questions. But that's going to be you'll see who it is when we get them on. So awesome. Anyway, thank you for watching, and thank you, TJ, tonight. And we are going to continue to build this, and thank you for all the graphics and all the everything we can get to this. And we've got the graphics. That's our first step. The next step is to build it live all over. We're going to work on getting it live all over the social media and get this thing moving. Everything's moving up each and every week, so we're working on it.
That's for sure.
And we'll get
you all for watching and tuning in. And like Jacob has said, soon enough we're going to be live presentations.
So we're going to have fun. For TJ Sanson, I'm Jacob Christner. You have yourselves a great night.
Good night, everyone.